Judah sat alone. The weight of his actions gnawed at him like an unrelenting pest. His mind replayed the moment they sold Joseph, his younger brother, into slavery. Judah's voice had been the loudest in urging them to profit off the boy. It was for the best, he told himself, the crackling of his campfire the only sound in the still night. Yet, no fire could warm the cold void that guilt had carved in his heart. Sleep eluded him, for Joseph's cries still echoed in his ears. "We did what we had to do, didn't we?" Judah left his family soon after. Perhaps he told himself it was to forge his own path, but in truth, he couldn't bear the reminders of what they'd done. He settled in Adullam, where he married Shua, a Canaanite woman. It was a union of convenience, not love, but it gave him a sense of normalcy. Years passed, and Judah's family grew. His sons, Er, Onan, and Shelah, were a source of pride, though his relationship with them was distant. When Er came of age, Judah arranged for him to marry a young woman named Tamar. Tamar entered Judah's household with dreams of building a family. She was a quiet but strong-willed young woman, her beauty matched only by her sharp mind. "This will be my new beginning," she thought as she walked into her husband's home for the first time. But her dreams quickly unraveled. Er was cruel, his heart darkened by selfishness and pride. Tamar tried to please him, cooking his favorite meals and tending to his needs, but nothing softened him. Er mocked her efforts. "You think you can change me with your kindness?" he sneered. Tamar bore his abuse in silence, her nights spent weeping alone. Yet, she prayed, "Lord, see my pain. Help me." God answered in a way no one expected. Er's wickedness led to his death, a judgment from God that shook the household. Tamar grieved, but her mourning was cut short. According to custom, Judah instructed his second son, Onan, to marry Tamar and provide her with an heir. Onan's outward obedience masked his inner rebellion. He treated Tamar not as a wife, but as an object. "Why should I father a child that won't even bear my name?" he thought, deliberately sabotaging every chance for her to conceive. For Tamar, this betrayal cut deeper than Er's cruelty. Onan's actions weren't just selfish, they were dehumanizing. She endured silently, but her prayers became desperate cries. "Lord, do you see me? Do you care?" God saw, and Onan, too, was struck down. Tamar, now twice widowed and childless, became a woman of shame in the eyes of society. Judah, blinded by fear and grief, sent her back to her father's house, promising she could marry his youngest son, Shelah, when he came of age. But Tamar knew the truth. Judah had no intention of fulfilling that promise. As years passed, Tamar waited. She watched Shelah grow into a man, yet no word came from Judah. Her hope turned to resolve. "If I do nothing, I will fade into obscurity, forgotten and discarded. But I will not let that happen." One day, Tamar heard that Judah was traveling to Timnah to shear his sheep. She sat alone, her heart pounding as a daring plan began to form. "I have waited long enough. He broke his promise to me, but I will ensure justice for myself and my family." Disguised in a thick veil and robe, Tamar positioned herself along the road to Timnah. She chose her spot carefully, beneath an ancient tree that cast dappled shadows over the path. As she waited, she replayed every moment of her life in Judah's household. Her resolve hardened. Judah approached, his face lined with grief and weariness. The years had not been kind to him. The loss of his wife and the guilt of his past weighed heavily on his shoulders. He noticed the veiled woman by the road and felt a flicker of desire. What harm could there be in this, he thought. Tamar remained calm as Judah approached. His voice was rough but hesitant. "Let me come to you," he said. She nodded, her plan unfolding perfectly. Judah offered a young goat as payment, but Tamar, her voice steady, said, "What will you give me as a pledge until the goat arrives?" Judah, intrigued by her boldness, handed over his seal, cord, and staff, symbols of his identity and authority. As Judah left, Tamar clutched the items tightly. "This is my proof. He will face the truth." Months later, Tamar's pregnancy became evident. Word reached Judah, and his reaction was swift and severe. "Bring her out to be burned," he demanded, his voice filled with righteous indignation. As Tamar stood before the crowd, her heart raced, but her expression remained calm. She held up Judah's seal, cord, and staff for all to see. "The man who owns these is the father of my child," she declared. The crowd gasped. Judah's face paled as recognition struck. Memories of his past failures flooded his mind, his betrayal of Joseph, his broken promises to Tamar, his hypocrisy. "She is more righteous than I," he confessed, his voice breaking. Tears streamed down his face as he fell to his knees. "I failed her. I failed my sons. I failed my God." Judah's confession marked the beginning of his redemption. Tamar gave birth to twin sons, Perez and Zerah, securing her place in history. Perez would go on to become an ancestor of King David and, ultimately, Jesus Christ.